Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I'm very excited for this interview. I'm going to be interviewing Freddy Fernandez from the Karate Kid himself, Israel Juarbe. I'm having him on the show today to talk about playing Freddy Fernandez in that classic that's celebrating its 35th anniversary, and another movie that's celebrating its 35th anniversary, Beverly Hills Cop, in which he plays the hotel waiter that brings Taggart and Rosewood the late supper, and those two other cops coffee and donuts. And he was also in movies like Overboard, Candyman, made a couple of pictures with Carl Reiner, and Boogie Nights. And I'm going to talk to him about all that stuff, and I can't wait. It's another rarity today. So yeah, here is my interview with Israel Juarbe. It's such an honor. Thank you for taking the time today.
Yes.
So, going back in time, did you fall in love with acting early on?
Well, I started in New York City on the Lower East Side. I was about 15 years old, and I started going into this place called the Nuyorican Poets Cafe. It's a famous spot. It's a poetry cafe where a lot of artists go.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, at that time, I met Miles Davis there, a lot of artist people from the streets, and a lot of artist people from everywhere, Manhattan, New York, would go there. It was one of those places that was very popular at the time for the arts. It was a rundown place, but nobody cared. That's the kind of environment, kind of spiritual environment, musicians, writers like Harry Thomas that wrote Down These Main Streets, that kind of atmosphere. And I was drawn to that because I've always liked the arts. And I did some plays in school and stuff, but that was just school. I was really already trying to see if I can get on television somehow, some way.
Mm-hmm.
That was the place to go if you wanted to recite poetry, get into plays, audition for plays. It was known that, at that time, there were a lot of black, Puerto Rican, Jewish people in my neighborhood on the Lower East Side. It was a little rough and tough, Alphabet City. But that was a place to kind of escape all of it, right? And meet advocates, meet all kinds of people who were involved in, protesting and just poetry and very cool people, man. It was just right outside the hippie era in the middle 70s.
Yeah, and that was the beginning of the stand-up comedy boom in New York too.
Right. As a matter of fact, when I was 18, I used to go to Catch on the Rock.
Yeah.
Catch a Rising Star. Sorry.
Yeah, Catch a Rising Star.
Yeah, Catch a Rising Star. I used to go there, and I actually did some stand-up, but that was after I already had gotten in.
Mm-hmm.
I met a playwright, Miguel Pinheiro, who was a Puerto Rican playwright who was very famous. He did a couple of episodes of Miami Vice. He wrote Smuggler's Blues with Glenn Fry. He was in Fort Apache, the Bronx. He was a Puerto Rican poet, very famous poet.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, one day I had recited a poem, one of his poems, great poems that he wrote, and so he was there. He happened to be there, and then said, "Hey man, I want you to audition for a play called Cold Beer Paper Toilet, an off-Broadway play," and then that's how I got in, man. I nailed it.
Wow. And then you decided that stand-up wasn't for you?
And I was already rolling, man, and I got an agent through those plays that I did. I did like 5 original plays,
mm-hmm.
and I got an agent. I met an agent, and he signed me up. And my first audition for a movie was a lead role for an ABC Movie of the Week. And actually, that was the first time I met Ralph Macchio.
Oh, he was
audition for it.
Mm-hmm. And did you?
And I got this part of a street dog, drug dealer. And actually, I starred with Paul Winfield, Eisenman, Trini Alvarado, and Matthew Broderick's dad, James Broderick.
Wow.
So my first movie was like this big ABC movie, and then it went downhill from there.
Did you move out to LA right after that?
Well, after that, I nailed another series in Pittsburgh, and I starred with Howard Rollins. Howard Rollins, Sam Ropard, Jason Robart's son, Paul's son. There were 6 kids that did this series in Pittsburgh, and I spent 4 months in Pittsburgh, so shooting this series, a 22-episode series. And so, like, I was hot, and, you know, I was getting really hot, and the agent in Los Angeles worked with my agent here in New York, and said, you should go to L.A. There's a lot of episodic stuff, movies. And so at 18 years old, man, you know, I had some money in my pocket. I went out to Phoenix, met my cousin. He taught me how to drive a stick shift, and I drove through the desert at night, scared shit. And I got to L.A., and I didn't know how to get to my new agent, Maxine Arnold. Lost in the freeway system. Remember, I never drove a car.
Yeah.
I hadn't driven a car, and my cousin buys me a Datsun B210, little green up, beat up car with a stick shift. I never drove, and I learned stick first. And then he tells me I should drive at night through the desert. And I'm going, what? Desert, bro. The only desert I knew at the time was like Ricochet Rabbit, you know, Droop Along, that desert, TV desert. And so, like, I was terrified. And that's how I made my way to L.A., man. Never forget it.
Wow. Yeah, I was reading one of your earliest jobs. You did a TV movie of the week with Dick Van Dyke called Dropout Father.
Oh, yeah. That was a small role. I mean, before I had left to L.A., I nailed that job. And you see, at that time, you got to remember this. You got to remember this. At that time, Latinos, there were rare, few in between. There were many young actors like myself, but there was like 2 or 3 roles out there, right?
Right.
There was no crossover at that time. So my generation, us 50-year-old guys, you know, now that are actors, we had to struggle to find work, man. We were like the pioneers in those episodic, you know, at that time, like Hunter and Cagney and Lacey and you know, NYPD Blues, Hill Street Blues, and I did all those shows. Right. And I was always a gangster.
Yeah.
You know, I was always the guy with the bandana. I'm like, dude, Puerto Ricans don't wear bandanas, man. That's L.A.
Yeah.
So we were pioneers, and we're proud of that. You know, my friends are still doing it. They're doing well. And, you know, it was just breaking the ice, and it was just a natural progression of, you know, how it was in Hollywood, you know? And that started from when Hollywood began, you know? Immigrants and minorities are moving up.
Yeah, because in the generations before that, you know, guys like Anthony Quinn, you know, was playing, you know, different minorities a lot. And then they actually started casting the real minorities later on.
Exactly. And you know what's funny? Valentina Quinn, I used to live with her and Miguel Piñero in L.A., Anthony Quinn's daughter.
Yeah.
When I first went to L.A., as a matter of fact, we're friends on Facebook, and we talk all the time on Facebook. Since I was a kid.
Did you get to meet him?
No, I never met him. Because I was there for about, 2 months. I met a brother that was in Platoon. I forgot his name. I think it was Frank. Yeah, no, because he had 3 houses, and the kids lived up in those 3 houses in Echo Park. But I never got to meet him because I was there for a little bit, and I got my own spot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was there temporarily with the guy who started me off in acting.
Nice. So how did you get so lucky in being cast as Freddy Fernandez in the immortal classic, The Karate Kid?
Well, you know, it was a long time ago, man. Think about it. It was God, it was 35 years ago. So forgive me for my memory lapses, but...
Oh, it happens a lot on this show.
Oh, yeah, man. Well, listen, just like everybody else, my agent was sending me out to a lot of different things. And she goes, I just got a script, this Karate Kid thing, and they got a part for a kid named Johnny. And I said, really? She goes, yes, Columbia Picture, and this person is producing, this person, and I didn't know, it was a young guy. She goes, this guy, Jerry Weintraub, he's a big producer, so it must be something really big.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, yeah, send me up for it. And because I was working at that time a lot, I didn't have to go through, casting people. I went straight to John F. I went straight to meet him. Mm-hmm. And, we sat down. I met him in a room by ourselves, man. He was really cool. I was a little nervous. I had the scenes, and the character's name was John, actually. And so I didn't even read. I think I read and I stopped and just talking to him, man. John said, hey, man, I like you, man. I'll talk to you soon. I had no idea. Next day, my agent says, you got the part. But, when we were talking,
mm-hmm.
when John Avildsen and I were just talking, man, he's like that. He wants to see who you are. He knows you can act because you've already been working. He already saw my resume. It's not like I had to, read,
Right.
I guess he gets the personality from just meeting the person, right there. So, anyway, I said, Johnny, I said, can I choose a different name? So I'm the one that said Freddie Fernandez, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were shooting that movie, I said, can I wear this? There was no costume people that, gave me my Making Bacon shirt. I said, can I wear this? That Freddie's the kind of guy that would wear this. Two pigs doing it, And he goes, hey, I don't care. He didn't even pay. He said, yeah, Dad. I don't think he even realized that it was too big,
Yeah.
and so now everybody's selling that T-shirt all over the place, and they're putting Freddie Making Bacon T-shirt. They got all these companies that are selling it. So I decided, hey man, I'm going to sell it myself.
Yeah.
So I got a website. It's on Etsy. Okay, go guys. Go get your Making Bacon T-shirt. I got it from the original people that did it in Ohio. Roach. Everybody's selling knockoffs.
I've heard John G. Avildsen was a tough director.
Tough director, man. That guy was ready. Let me tell you something. I don't know if you've seen it on YouTube, but he's got the whole movie edited, the rehearsal.
Mm-hmm.
He shared it before he passed away with my friend Randy Sabasawa, who was his assistant.
Mm-hmm.
And he's somebody you should interview, Randy Sabasawa. He was John Avildsen's assistant.
Huh.
Cool dude. And I'll get you in touch with him, okay? He'll give you a lot of stories about the Karate Kid.
Okay.
He was inside. And we still hang out. So anyway, when they shot it on those big VHS. They shot the rehearsal. They blocked it out exactly the way you see it in the movie. So if you look at the rehearsal movie that John Avildsen put up, you'll notice that all the angles are almost identical.
Nice.
Shot it in one of those big VHS mumbo jumbos in the early 80s.
Wow.
So John Avildsen, tough. I don't remember that, man. I thought he was the coolest director, the easiest, simplest. He didn't really direct you. He had a vision, man. He made that movie slow. Listen, when I saw the movie, when I read the script, The Karate Kid, I was like, it's a good script.
Mm-hmm.
But I was thinking, all of us, me and my friend Frankie Avalon, who's my partner in the Storgy.com company, he's my partner. Right, we're still friends to this day.
Nice.
We were thinking when we went, before we saw the premiere,
mm-hmm.
saw it in Westwood, and Westwood movie theater, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We were like all excited because we all got together again, and we were thinking the Karate Kid, it's gonna be all right. Because remember, I grew up on the Lower East Side, man. Me and my friend Louis Guzman, the big actor, he's my best friend. He's my investor in my company.
Mm-hmm.
We used to go watch Bruce Lee, and we used to watch, you know, Five Fingers of Death, and we used to watch all these great karate movies in the 70s. And, you know, and so when I read The Karate Kid, I said, it's not going to be like one of those movies that we love. It's going to be, I don't know what this is going to be.
Yeah.
When we came out that theater, let me tell you, we were so excited. We knew this was special.
Yeah.
John Avildsen was a special director because the way he directed Rocky,
Yep.
about the underdog overcoming all odds, and it's about a lot about life and passion and love and dedication and friendship and love. It had all of that, man.
Mm-hmm.
All of that, and then there was a reason. There was a reason, and there was a message that he was trying to convey, and he did.
Yeah, that whole scenario of Freddie turning on Daniel so early in the movie, that's a great example of peer pressure amongst high school kids. It's very real.
Oh man, that story is a never-ending story, and that's why it's so great today.
Yeah.
Oh God, sorry.
It's okay.
That was a big loud noise. That's why it's relevant today, and it'll always be. You know, you know, it's a movie that, you know, has a message and it's true to its word, and it's going to resonate in any kid's ear. And the bullying still happens now. It's even, and people are like bringing it up now, even more so than the past. In the past, nobody did nothing about it. Now there are all kinds of organizations, there are advocates, you know, who are trying to, you know, change that. There are messages. And, you know, The Karate Kid had that message. Mm-hmm. And it was a profound message. And that's why it lives to this day.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Crazy, man. Crazy.
Have you seen the new show, Cobra Kai?
You know what? I was too cheap to get the Red Channel.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
You know? So, and I've been busy anyway, but, you know, I'm going to see it because now I know that they're offering it, you know,
yeah.
season 1 and 2, and I'll get to it. I'm a binge watcher, man. I watch Shameless, like, I don't know, in a week, the whole 9 seasons.
I watched the free episodes on YouTube. I think Rob Garrison just did an episode, if I'm not mistaken. Yes,
I saw a photo of them. I keep in touch with Rob. I keep in touch with Billy. I keep in touch with Ron. Ron is a very spiritual guy. He's such a cool dude. If you can get him on an interview, he's together, man. He's just a great guy.
Yeah.
All the guys are great.
Yeah, I've been trying.
Anyway, what I did was I am going to see the shows. Right, I saw the first 2 episodes. Right, I saw that.
Right.
And I know it's, you know, now they're offering it for free, and not that I'm a cheap guy, it's just that, you know, I'll get to it. And I've been in touch with Ralph, you know, so I just texted him the other day. And so we're, you know, they're trying to find a storyline, and if I fit, I'll be in, you know?
Right.
If they don't, but they're aware.
Right.
And I know Will Smith, he's producing it. I guess started on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, so.
Oh.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I worked 3 times with Alfonso Ribeiro.
Mm-hmm.
I guest starred on Silver Spoon. We worked together when we were kids.
Yeah.
And I used to know his whole family before Hollywood. We're talking when he was 7 years old. That's how long I know Alfonso.
Wow.
we did a show. We did another kids show. I even forgot it. We did a pilot.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
When the business was a lot smaller.
I've been around. It's not only the Karate Kid. I did a lot of shit, man.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you were the hotel waiter in Beverly Hills Cop.
Oh, another classic movie, right? Another big classic thing that I had no idea that it was going to be like that. It's kind of like I'm lucky that way, you know?
Yeah.
So, and it was the same year. It was like months apart that I shot those things.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have to audition for that either. Marty Brest, man, me and him were hanging out, and he said, hey, dude, you want to do this waiter thing? It's a small part, but I think it's going to be very funny. I said, hell yeah. My agent wanted me to turn it down.
Oh.
Because, you know, I was doing all these big parts, right? And I was getting upset because I would do a big part, big movie, and then because there was not many roles for Latinos, I would go for another killer. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
that started to weigh in on me. I mean, I was very bitter when I was young. I was very angry about that.
Mm-hmm. Did you already know Eddie from the comedy scene in New York?
No, absolutely not. I met Eddie there. Eddie flew from 0 to 60 in 2 seconds. He was on Saturday Night Live. He went to LA. He did 48 hours, and then he was a big star.
Mm-hmm.
He from Saturday Night Live, he was already a big star. But he was the coolest dude, man. I had so much fun. I worked actually 2 weeks on that job, 2 or 3 weeks. And me and this guy became real. Damon Wayans. Me and Damon met on that set, bro. And I knew his brother already.
Mm-hmm.
A friend of mine grew up with Keenan, Ivory Wayans. And then me and Damon met on the set because he was the one that gave Eddie Murphy the bananas.
Yeah.
And we're still, if I see Damon, it's like, dude, we're, old friends.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's, I'm trying to get on the show, and people are asking me like crazy on Twitter and this and that. And, I don't know what to say, man. Right now my focus is on strawg.com. I have this thing. I invented it. I designed it. I did all the CAD files for it. I got a 3D print out of it from my 3D printer. I went to Atlanta, had it made, a better prototype made, and I went to China. And now I got a product I'm trying to sell.
Wow. Yeah, so
that's where I'm at.
Mm-hmm. Did it get to a point where the acting rules were drying up and you decided that you were going to get into another line of work?
No, dude. I gotta steer you this way. This is what happened. You want to hear it?
Sure.
I was living I bought a house. I had done Angels in the Outfield.
Mm-hmm.
And then I bought a house in Sherman Oaks, did the whole thing, got married, blah, blah, blah. Started a post-production company, and it blew up. I was editing for a TV show on FX, the Orlando Jones show. I was editing for Sony on USA Channel, game shows. I edited No Doubt underneath it all with Sophie Mueller. As an editor, I did the mastering for that music video, Wanye. I became a editor. I started off doing editing for, actors, my friends, on a small system. And then I started buying Avid. I became an Avid editor. And so I did it professionally for 25 years. I just quit A&E not too long ago. I was working for A&E Networks. So what happened was I was in 1999, my company was really growing, and I had so much work. I did some work for Adrian Brody, and then Adrian said, hey, my friend's got this TV show. You want to do this TV show? So I did it for Orlando Jones, and then I was renting my Avids, and it was crazy. And at the same time, I just booked a show called Pensacola with James Brolin.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to, and I was for 6 months, I was doing this series, Pensacola, Wings of Gold. And I was going back and forth from San Diego to LA to finish jobs, and it became crazy. So after I finished the series, I got into my company that had employees and that whole line. And so kind of like I abandoned acting for a long time. And I said, my company, I got employees now. My nephew was my employee. I had a responsibility to the company and to my family members who, my nephew's a 3D artist now doing stuff for Disney. He's big time now. But, when we were younger, that's what we were doing. And so I made my life editing and renting out my Avid and that whole nine, doing music videos, national commercials, McDonald's, McDonald's, Ford, you name it. I was working for agencies. And then I did a whole, life gets in your way, right? So
right.
I hated editing. I wanted to get out of it. And, a couple of personal things happened, and I abandoned that. I didn't want to do that anymore.
Yeah,
I had a child, and now I'm trying to get my own business going, but the difference,
Right.
But Louis Guzman and I, I write. I got 5 screenplays. I'm trying to get that going. But in the meantime, I'm starting this company from scratch, and I have to focus on it. So the entertainment business is never far from me. I mean, the last thing I did was in 2005, Garry Marshall asked me to do a play, and I did a play in the theater for 3 months. I played 4 characters, and that was like the best. I got away from TV and movies. I was on stage at the Falcon Theater, and Garry Marshall, at Garry Marshall's theater. And so I did that, and that was the last thing I did an acting.
Yeah, you worked with Garry Marshall on a couple of movies, Overboard and Dear God. You have any good...
Yeah, because Hector Elizondo is like my dad. He's like my investor in Georgie, him and Louis. And he was best friends with Garry Marshall, and I played basketball at Garry Marshall's house for like 10 years. I used to live right around the block from him in Sherman Oaks. So me and Hector, when we were younger, we're talking 20 years ago, we used to play for 10 years. We played basketball there.
Mm-hmm.
And so, every time there was something, Angel, you want to do this part? I got this part for you. You want to do it? I said, yeah, I want to do it, Garry. Okay, this thing, Overboard, Goldie Hawn. You're going to work with Goldie Hawn. I said, hell yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's that, man. That's that. That's, Hey, where does this thing, I want everybody to go to my Etsy shop and buy my Freddy's Making Bacon t-shirt.
Freddy's Making Bacon t-shirt?
Yeah, on Etsy. I'm going to send you the link to it so that they could go at $40. You get the shirt, you get my signature, and I got some photos there of me and Ralph.
Mm-hmm.
I got those for $20. And if you don't want my signature, you can buy the shirt for $20.
Nice. I'll check that out.
Yeah. So, anything, I left my brother-in-law abandoned.
Oh, shoot.
No, I told you that I would talk to you at 3 o'clock, and so we're talking. You're recording. That's all right.
Okay,
I like it this way. It's more real, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real conversation. But, I mean, we can do a part 2, because I have to pick up my daughter again at Fordham University, my stepdaughter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I mean, we could do a part 2 sometime and stuff. Next month or so, it's going to be pretty hectic and stuff, but I'll reach out to you again and we can do a part 2.
Yeah, is there anything else that you wanted to ask me? Something that you left out? Because I was rambling, dude. I'm the easiest
It's okay.
interview you'll ever do in your life.
It's okay. They want to hear you, not me. I was curious. So do you ever get invited to conventions with the rest of the Karate Kid cast?
No, man. I heard Ralph was doing Comic-Con with Billy, right? And Marty Cole, right?
Right.
And then I know that Rob Garrison was doing it with Ron Thomas. And I had seen Billy and Ralph when there was a convention here in New York City, and me and Billy got together, and Marty Cove, and I took him out to a nightclub, and we had a good nice reunion. And I was talking to his agent, and then his agent says, yeah, sometimes the other guys come, maybe you should do one. So when they were in New Jersey, I got in through a guy named Brian.
Mm-hmm.
Brian and another guy, Sam, who said, hey, I'll get you in. And so I really didn't do it with them. I kind of did it, but then they put me with them because I did the movie, and it was really cool. So, I mean, it was kind of a fluke that I got in,
Yeah.
But see, because I was on the outside, right? I wasn't doing this thing. I didn't take advantage of, people want to see Freddie. And when I was there, people were so excited to see me, man.
Oh, that's great.
And actually they brought in the shirts because they knew I was going to be there, the Making Bacon shirts, and they said, you should go on these tours. And I said, well, I don't know. I'm doing kind of other things. And it was great. I got to meet so many other people on that show. I mean, it was a big show, and people had the shirts, and I said, I should sell that stuff. And then 2 years ago, I was checking out the shirt, and the shirt happens to be the top 20 T-shirts of all time in movie history. there's information about the Freddy's Making Bacon t-shirts everywhere. And I'm like, what? I was pissed. I was like, I got to sell this shirt. So people, buy it from me. Don't buy it from anybody else. Buy it from me. They're all rip-offs. I got the real company, Road Studios, that do it in Ohio. And they got the wrong color, too. Do I sound like a salesman?
You do sound like a salesman.
Right. I'm selling Strawgies and Making Bacon t-shirts.
Okay, so Strawgy.com.
Strawgy.com, and then I have my listings also in Etsy. And Louis Guzman happens to be my spokes guy. So if you go to Etsy and you put holiday, okay, for Freddy's Making Bacon t-shirts, Karate Kid, I'll send you the link, okay, so you can post it.
Okay.
But if you go to Etsy, you can put holiday party favors, and I'll send you a direct link. But you'll see Louis. Louis holding my product. If you go to Strawgy.com, Louis does a video for me. So it's really cool. He's the spokesperson for the Strawgy.
Awesome. I'll take a look at it. And
yes.
And so I thank you for coming on today, Israel, and I will definitely do a part 2.
Thank you. And can you send me information as to where you're going to play this on your podcast?
Oh, yeah. I'll send you the link to it when it's all ready.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. I appreciate you as much as you appreciate me, man, for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Oh, the honor was all mine, Israel. Thank you so much, and you have yourself a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Well, there you have it. Israel Juarbe. Isn't he a cool guy? He's very cool, and lots of energy, I have to say. But he's a really cool guy and has great stories. And we will do a part 2 in the future. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, add me as a friend on Facebook, join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past. Because the present sucks. Later, dudes.